When you're ready.
Good evening, everybody. I'm going to say a few introductory comments before we begin with the agenda tonight. And I'm just so grateful to see a full room. Thank you very much for coming out on a summer evening for this conversation. I'm Mayor Rick Ufford-Chase, and we have a full council tonight. President Carter Finnegan is here. Council members Andrew Touchette, John Manette, and Sharon Perry are with us. Clerk Treasurer Jim Johnson is here, and our new city manager Joe Gunter is at the table with us tonight. Yeah, that's the right place. Go ahead. So just a few housekeeping things before we get started. The restrooms are in the back through the double doors to the right. If you need to go tonight, feel free to just get up and take your leave. If you need more to eat, feel free to get up and go get it. It is just fine. We're going to have a fairly informal meeting this evening, and it's no problem for you to get up and move around and do what you need to do. If you're going to have a loud conversation, maybe go outside. But other than that, you're kind of on, you can do whatever you like, okay? And I want to say one more time how grateful I am to Nathan and Bentley and Seneca and Cheryl and the folks at Mobile Mug for what they've been doing all summer. Really, truly, in my judgment, this is what making small town life work is all about. So I'm grateful to them for being here tonight. Thank you very much. So I'll say again, they're going to leave the cold items, but take the hot items with them. So in the next few minutes, if you'd still like something to eat, come grab it. And by about 6:15, I think, they're going to start cleaning up and taking the things away that they need to take with them. Okay? And then tonight's meeting really is just in three parts. There will be a very quick consent agenda that we'll take care of. And then we're going to launch into a conversation about the acquisition and control of the property formerly known as the pit, now known as the development opportunity or the development block. So we have a number of people who are going to speak to that, and then council may have some things that they want to say, and then we will open it up to comment and question. And this is really designed to be a Q&A because there's been a lot of detail in this that we'll have to rehearse tonight, and we are happy to answer your questions. So there'll be plenty of time for Q&A tonight. All I ask is that anyone who speaks, please go to the microphone there on the stand down by where Jim is sitting and say who you are and where you live, and you are welcome to speak, whether you're from the city of Newport or not. On this topic, we are all clear. We are building a downtown like it's been historically for all of the northern NEK. So our friends and neighbors from the surrounding towns and villages are absolutely welcome in these conversations. Any other housekeeping, Carter, that you can think of? Okay, so with that, I'm going to call the meeting to order of the regular city council meeting scheduled for 6 p.m. on Monday, August 17th. And I've already mentioned who is present, so we took care of that. And we'll call that the calling to order. And then I'm going to ask council members, do you have any additions or deletions for the agenda? No, thank you. Jim? Okay. Joe, nothing to add or delete for you? All right. I have one item that I'm going to add because I just spaced it last week. I thought of it 30 seconds after I put it online and I didn't want to change it. And that is that right after the consent agenda, we're going to give Joe the microphone for a few minutes and give him a chance to say a few words about his first 6 days on the job. So we'll give him a chance to speak, and then it will become a regular feature of our council meetings that Joe will have an opportunity to present to council about anything that's really on his mind. Do I have a motion to approve adding Joe Gunter to the agenda following consent agenda?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second from Carter. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. The next item on the agenda, the consent agenda, is the I'm going to name all the things in the consent agenda. For those who are not regulars, I'll stand up because I can't see everybody. For those who are not regulars at city council meetings, one of the ways that we try and make our work at least slightly more efficient is we create a place called the consent agenda where we put items we expect to be non-controversial and fairly straightforward. And we put those all in that lump together, and then we ask before we vote on the consent agenda if there's anything that anyone would like to say about any of those items. And if so, we'll pull that item out so we make sure we have a discussion before we get a vote on the consent. Okay? So tonight on the consent agenda, we have approval of the minutes from August 3rd, which was 2 weeks ago. Approval of AP warrants for the 5th, the 7th, and the 13th of August. I'm sorry. Yes, the 5th, the 7th, and the 13th of August. Approval of a payroll warrant from the 4th of August. I don't believe we have any items, Jim, in the liquor licenses and permits and special events tonight, right? And we have added one thing that's not typical, and that is the emergency management plan. Local Emergency Management Plan is what LEMP stands for. And Chief, are you in the room somewhere? Could you just come forward for a moment and just describe what a local emergency management plan is so everyone knows before we vote on it? Dave?
Is your Google thing up for the people that are virtual?
Yes, you're not going to see folks on the screen tonight, but we do have about 5 or 6 people online.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Just speak up.
Speak up, there we go. Hi, so my name is Kevin Lacoste, I'm the fire chief here in Newport City. It's required by law that every year that we have an updated local emergency management plan. It has to be a written document. It has to have local contact information such as city council, phone numbers, emails, local businesses that may be able to help in a disaster, dump truck operators, places to get carpenters, etc. So this is simply a plan that's written down that we can refer to if necessary. Part of that is that it has to come before the city council and it has to be approved. So that's kind of what we're looking for. I think the only part of it is that Joe's, and every year that I have to go through and adopt this because we have new council members and new mayor, and now we have to add Joe and stuff. So we're just trying to keep it updated, and that's basically what it is. But it's basically a formal plan so that if kind of things don't go well, we have a hurricane or a flood or something, that we have a document to refer to.
Thank you, Chief. That's
Okay.
just what we needed. Just so everyone on the council is clear, that plan names Chief Lacoste as our lead contact. I think Chief Travis Bingham is our second. At the moment, it still has my name on it as the third contact, and then on the following page, it lists Joe as the person who's authorized to do spending up to $400,000 in an emergency. Okay, so all of those things are there. We may at some point, council members, decide we want to come back. It was too difficult to get the change made to swap Joe's name for mine on number third contact. Okay. So we're going to pass it the way it is tonight. Are there any questions about that or anything else in the consent agenda? Community members, any questions that folks have? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
I have a motion
I'll second.
and a second. Any further questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much, Ken.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Okay, so Joe, it's all yours. You're next on our agenda.
Can everybody hear me?
Don't assume, because we're also playing to the camera.
Okay, so you can hear me now? Yeah. So over the last few weeks, I've stood up and said a lot of the same things I'm getting ready to say, but I think it always bears repeating. I really want to say thank you to the community. From the first day I stepped into the interview room up until right now, everybody has been so kind and so generous and just so welcoming. It's overwhelming for both my wife and I. So thank you, Newport, for that. I appreciate the warm welcome. And I understand it's not going to be rainbows and puppies from here on out, but we expect that, right? There's hard work to be done here in Newport, and I'm very happy to be a part of that hard work. I've had a few people tell me already, they're like, you're in the right spot at the right time right now. Newport's on the cusp of growing. You're on the cusp of really the economic revitalization that so many towns talk about that they haven't got there yet. You guys are there. The community is there. We just need to all pull together, and you know, we're just going to pull together and do it. We're going to do that work. So I'm going to leave it at that. Again, thank you very much for being so welcoming to me and my family.
About an hour ago, a bunch of us who have been part of the conversation for the last year and a half, trying to get us to the point at which we can say we genuinely are all but in the position to have local control over that empty block, a bunch of us met up at the corner of of 2nd and Main, and we walked across the street and stood in front of the fence, and we had a police officer come shut down traffic for us for a moment, and we had a photographer on a stepladder take a picture of all of us in front of that spot. And a lot of those folks have stayed, and they're here in the room, and some of them are going to speak tonight briefly about both how they've been involved, if they wish, but also kind of their dreams or desires for what this might mean for Newport. So we got a long list of folks. They all promised me, even the politicians, that they would be brief tonight. We'll see if they can do it any better than I can, because many of you who know me know that there's no such thing as a question that doesn't deserve a 20-minute answer from me. So, I'm going to kick us off with just an overview of the mechanics of what actually just took place, for those who want to hear it more than once. It's been well reported in the local papers and in some state media as well this week. But basically, without rehearsing, miles and miles of effort that went into it over the past year and a half, and many of the false directions that we had to follow and then turn around and come back and start over, without giving all the detail on all of that, because it doesn't matter. What I can tell you tonight is that Dave Snedeker is here from the Executive Director of the Northeastern Vermont Development Association, and he will speak in a few moments. And NVDA has made a remarkable offer to the city of Newport, basically to partner with us to take possession or take title of that empty block and to carry out any necessary testing and remediation for brownfields concerns on that block, which will eventually give it a clean bill of health, which means that we can then do development that we all dream of doing on that site. So we'll talk more about that partnership with NVDA before we're done this evening. Now the question is, where did the money come from to actually purchase the block? And what had to go into making that deal happen? The court-appointed receiver, many of you in the room know, who was appointed a little over 10 years ago, I believe now, to take care of, to dispose of all of the property that was caught up in the EB5 scandal, and to make sure that investors who had been defrauded were paid back as much as possible. The court-appointed receiver's name is Michael Goldberg. And last summer, 3 of us drove down to Boston and met with Mr. Goldberg in an office that somebody loaned us. He's not actually from Boston. And we had a great first conversation and said, we don't know quite how we want to do it or how we can do it, but we would really like to be at the table to have a conversation about how the local community could end up having control over what happens in the future with that property. He's been extremely receptive. We've met almost monthly for the last year, because it was July that we met him the first time. And so we've had to negotiate the final price with him, and I've heard plenty of people say, why don't they just give it to us? We deserve it. And the answer is because there are federal laws in play that demand that each of the properties caught up in that EB5 situation be sold for as much as possible in order to turn around and pay back those defrauded investors. So there's more at play here than just Newport has a hole in its downtown. So the question was, what's a fair price? And many of you can tell me about offers you've heard about over the last decade on that property. And many of them are true, as I understand it. But the final decision was that a fair price would be $1.1 million. Now the question was, where is that money going to come from so that it doesn't hit the taxpayers of Newport? And the answer to that was that we began a partnership, again, over many months, with partners at the state level. And Lyle Jepson and Tim Tierney are here tonight from the Department for Economic Development of the state of Vermont. And Lyle will speak a little bit tonight as well. The state has a program that Lyle will describe. I won't go into the details on it. That we thought might be able to help us with at least part of the purchase. In order for it to help with more than just a part of our purchase, we needed to have special legislative action. And we have at least 5 or 6 of our local legislators here tonight. Both of our senators and 4 or 5 of our representatives are here tonight. And all of them had a hand in getting the changes through the legislature last spring to make it possible for the program that Lyle and Tim and others in the state oversee to make the money happen for us. So at the end of the day, what that meant was the RIDIP program, Rural Industry Program Development Program, has committed a $1 million grant to NVDA toward the purchase of the empty block. Then we still had a hole. Sorry, that wasn't meant to be tongue-in-cheek. We still had another amount of money that had to be raised. And in the end, after many, many different ways of trying to go after that, NVDA came to us and said, we have another property. We think we can make money available. We would be willing to dedicate up to $200,000 to complete the purchase and to make sure that there is money available so that we can pay the carrying costs while the mitigation and remediation work is being done for brownfields. So that means, I'll answer the question before it comes, and you can ask it other ways if you want later. Yes, while NVDA holds this land, taxes will continue to be paid on it. And those taxes will be paid through a grant that's being dedicated by NVDA for this purpose. So $1.2 million was raised in order to get us into the purchase position and across the finish line. Having said all of that, the last thing I want to say tonight about that is that tonight I'm going to give you a list before I finish of all of the different organizations that have been involved in trying to make this happen. Many of them are not actually involved in the final deal that I just described to you. But none of them, if it hadn't been for all of them, we would not have been able to explore probably a dozen different opportunities and then finally settle on the one that worked. And I want to be really clear. This is not a one person or one organization or one city council show. A lot of people have put a lot of sweat equity into this process over the last 18 months to get us to this point. And you're going to meet some of them tonight. So finally, where do we go from here? Part of the answer to that is, I don't know. If we had a deal with a developer to put in front of you tonight on what we were actually going to build there, believe me when I tell you, we would tell you what it is. It's complicated, and it's a very difficult environment right now for anyone to build anything in a way that is cost effective. So we are working this question. I don't think Dave LaForce has had an uninterrupted night of sleep in 12 months. There are some people in this room who are putting huge effort into thinking about how we can make some kind of a deal work to get what we want on that property. We will keep you up to date. We are well aware of what the things are that this community really wants, and believe me when I tell you, it's top of mind for all of us. So step one is control of the property, site control. Step two is remediation. And then hopefully we'll be ready to start a conversation about where we go from there. And the last piece that has to happen before any development can happen there is we need some serious public infrastructure work in our downtown. We can't build all the things we dream of building in downtown Newport with our current water and sewer infrastructure under Main Street and with the current streetscape. So the last thing I want to say, and again, we'll come back to this I expect tonight sometime, is that about a month ago, Northern Border Regional Commission awarded $3 million to the city of Newport that will come with a need for a 20% match, or $750,000 that the city of Newport will have to match. We are working on that question and how we'll do it in a way that doesn't hit the taxpayers. That money, $3.75 million, collectively will go toward the infrastructure development that we need in order to make long-term development possible in downtown Newport. And with all of that, thank you. Like I said, I can't do it in 2 minutes, can I? I want to give you a little list, and Joe, if you would, no, don't bother. It's okay. Don't put it on screen. Nobody's going to be able to read it anyway. I want to read to you the 25 or so different organizations representing at least 100 people by my count who have been involved in, what do you figure, Dave, 250 meetings over the last 18 months to get us here. These are what I call the key stakeholder organizations. City Council, our first thanks goes to you. This City Council has done remarkable work, and there are at least half a dozen different kinds of task forces that have all been at work stabilizing our city situation. And that's not to downplay the regular commissions that keep the city going. Planning Commission, DRB, Cemetery Commission, Harbor Commission. All of the work that normally has to go on to keep the city going has been supplemented for the last year and a half by remarkable people who stepped forward for task forces that I routinely underpromised in terms of the time commitment they would have to put in. Just ask Danny Grant. I assured her the charter thing would not take more than an hour every other week this summer. So thank you to all of you. City staff, And some of you are in the room. Just raise your hands or stand up. Tom and Frank and Carrie's here and Kevin's here. Travis couldn't be here tonight. Who am I missing? Anybody? Sorry? Tom. Sorry, Tom's here. Jim, obviously. So, for almost 2 years, this city council has operated with this city staff has operated with no city manager. And they have done, in my estimation, a heroic job of not just holding things together, but adding really high-quality amenities to our community. And they've gotten a lot of projects across the finish line that have been dragging on for years and years, just in the last year. So thank you to all of them. Just add to that Chip Stearns should not go unmentioned here from NEMRIC. He came in a year and 4 months ago, and he has held our hand every step of the way while we've sorted out what to do with our financial situation. The next group that really needs an appreciation, and again, a number of the board members are here tonight, is Newport Downtown Development, the Board of Directors, the Economic Development Task Force, the Housing Committee, and all of the lead sponsors, again, some of whom are here in this room, who make NDD's work possible in this community. We do not have an economic development staff person or arm in our community. And about 2 years ago, the city signed an MOU with NDD saying that they were giving NDD the task of guiding the process of trying to get us through a development plan and to try and move us in the direction of long-term, long-range planning and development. So thank you to all of NDD. Hold your applause. We'll just go through the rest of these. The rest will be faster. The master plan was created by VHB, a company out of Burlington. White & Burke, Stephanie Clark, would you just stand for a moment, please? Stephanie Clark from White & Burke Real Estate Advisors is here in the room tonight. Some of you have met her before. Since January of 2025, Stephanie has met with us every single week, advising and helping us figure out the next steps for a bunch of us who really didn't know much about how this work has to happen. We couldn't have done it without her. NVDA, who I've already mentioned, and Dave will speak. I want to give a shout out to the mayor, the city manager, and the staff in St. Albans, because they have been like our holy grail. Whenever we don't know what to do next, we pick up the phone and we call Dominic Cloud or Sarah, Carrie, help me. Sarah Macy, thank you. Sarah Macy, their CFO, or Tim Smith, until he just recently stepped down as mayor, and Chip Sawyer. They have been remarkable for us, basically acting as unpaid counselors to us for almost 2 years now. There are a bunch of consultants who have been helping us recently. Lincoln Brown and Michael McCullen doing a lot of architectural design and engineering work. VHB again. Dufresne Group. Morris Strategies. Jolie Frechette is online tonight for this meeting. She's the one with whom we just signed a contract to help us with communications and education. How do we make sure that we are communicating clearly about what our intentions are so that everyone in the community understands what we're about? So Jolie just started in the last 3 weeks. And MSK Attorneys, that's been leading us through all of the negotiations with the court-appointed receiver to get us to this moment. And then I've said it, but I'll just say one more time. We could not have made this happen without the legislative action that it took, and our legislators led the way on this. Every single one of them, every time I picked up the phone or sent an email, has said, yes, how can I help? Governor Scott's office has been supportive from the word go. And his commissioners, Lyle here who's here from Economic Development, Wanda Manoli from Building and General Services, have given generously of their time and their expertise, and we have had countless hours with them to try and sort out what happens next. And every time I speak with them, what I hear is, if this is Newport's moment, we all know it. How can we help? The Vermont Judiciary has actually been here twice or 3 times, Dave? 3 times to meet with us in person to talk about long-term planning for the local courts. And the Orleans County Assistant Judges as well have stepped up regarding the ultimate fate of the county courthouse. We have nothing to propose about those buildings tonight. There's no change intended at least in the foreseeable future, but it took a lot of conversation to get us to the point where I could actually say that. Northern Forest Center is a nonprofit. I highly commend to you. Go home and look them up. They're amazing. And they have been at our beck and call for almost 2 years, in fact, longer than that. They're amazing folks. And they've done a lot of work on project feasibility for us. Jay Ansel in Black River Design has done some engineering and architectural work. The Preservation Trust of Vermont has actually provided funding to help us do feasibility work. The Rural Industry Development Program that Lyle will speak to. Northern Border Regional Commission that I've already mentioned with this $3 million grant, and that's one on the heels of a grant that just helped us with the Causeway project that we completed in the last few months. New Hampshire Community Loan Fund, that used to be known as NCIC, has done grant writing for us, and that grant writing helped us to secure a grant for more than $130,000 from USDA Rural Development to help us pay pre-development costs. So you should know that when we started this about 2 years ago, there was just under $400,000 in the Walmart Economic Development Fund that the city operates, and that money is basically about how much we still have in that fund. We've raised enough money going along to pay all of our bills, and so far, the city's about break even on this process. Vermont Community Foundation just gave us a $50,000 grant, again, to help with pre-development costs. I've mentioned the court-appointed receiver, and I will just say, I know he's taken a lot of heat. I know it's been 10 years longer than we wanted it to be to get to disposition on this. I will tell you that he has been a good partner to us in the last year, helping to make this come together. I'm almost done. There are two construction and real estate development companies, DEW and Pomerleau Real Estate, both of whom have family ties in this community, and both of whom have gone out of their way to meet with us regularly and often to help us understand how development works. And it's quite remarkable because we didn't have a project to put on the boards with them, but they would sit and tell us, oh, no, if you want to do this, this is about what it would cost us, this is how we'd have to do it. They've basically acted as unpaid consultants for over a year. Dave LaForce has pulled together a group of local developers, not all local actually, all over the state, but mostly local, who are volunteering their time, more than 20 people, because one thing that's become clear to us is that if Newport has a future, it's not going to happen because somebody else comes to this community and saves us. We are our future. And so Dave went out about 6 months ago and started recruiting local businesses and saying, I need y'all to come to this because you believe in this community. So they are working every day. In fact, Dave and a local investor made a trip down to New Hampshire last week to look at a modular design company down there. So they're on their game all the time. North Country Hospital, Passumpsic Bank, and Community National Bank are all institutions that have given a lot over the last year to help us both stabilize the city finances and also to get us to this point with this deal on the acquisition of the development block. And then finally, y'all have been showing up. The people in this community have shown up over and over and over again. And we can't do any of this without your ideas and your thoughts and your constructive criticism. And an attaboy once in a while would be great. Thank you for those who are doing that. Because it's exhausting. It's tiring. And we have, I'd say, more weeks than not when we feel like, oh my gosh, that was not what I wanted. And we have to go back to the drawing board. So just keep in mind when you're out there on social media, Charlie did it for us this week. He chimed in on a social media thread I saw this week where somebody was just spouting off about how nobody cares and nobody does anything. And when you chime in and say, wait a minute, I know better, it makes a difference to all of us. And you who care enough to show up tonight, you're the ones who make that happen. So now a round of applause for the 100 and some odd people who have worked to make this moment happen. Having said all of that, I'm going to invite folks to the microphone one at a time. And we're going to start with Dave Snedeker, Executive Director at NVDA.
Can everyone hear me okay? Thank you, Mayor, for your comprehensive remarks. It should save me a lot of time. So, first of all, I just kind of remind everybody who I am Dave Snedeker, Director at NVDA for about 15 years now. And some of you may know who NVDA is. We're both the Regional Planning Commission for the Northeast Kingdom and the Regional Development Corporation as well. We're unique in Vermont in that we're one and the same. So our planning work often informs what our development work is. So our involvement in this project has been on the planning side. We've done a lot of grant writing to get this funding that we're talking about. So Annie McLean, who could not make it tonight, was instrumental in writing the Rural Industrial Development Program grant for NVDA for $1 million. And then also she helped with the previous Northern Border Regional Commission grant for $500,000. She also assisted the city of Newport with other NDRC awards for their water and sewer infrastructure. So I'm happy to have her on the team, and apologies she couldn't make it tonight. So the other work that we do a lot of work in development. We do understand development. You may have heard about the Yellow Barn Business Accelerator project in Hardwick. We were very heavily involved in that one, including the funding, which was a $10 million project. And prior to that, the Vermont Food Venture Center. Right now, we're involved in a very similar project to this one in Newport and St. Johnsbury, where we have an 8-acre contaminated site that is going to cost $2.3 million to clean up. But we were able to obtain funding for that. So for the Newport site, what Rick's kind of already outlined what the plan is we're expecting to take ownership sometime in October. And then using funds that we already have from the Environmental Protection Agency, we would do the additional assessment work and testing and any cleanup that is needed. And then once that work is done, we are expecting to turn it over to either the city of Newport or a developer, if we have one that the city is willing to work with. So our role is an interim owner role, but we're happy to be involved in helping the city of Newport.
Thank you. I mentioned Lyle Jepson earlier, the Commissioner for the Department of Economic Development in the state of Vermont. And Lyle kind of holds a special place in our hearts. He was appointed in November, is that right? By the governor to this position. And he reached out to us, I think it was within about 10 days of being appointed, and said, I feel a special affection for Newport. I grew up there. I graduated from high school. I taught at that high school, and I want to know what I can do to be helpful. And he's been with us every step of the way. So Lyle, if you'd go to the mic, please.
No pressure. And I said to Rick, I was going to be very short, 20 font, 1 page, that's it. So thank you for having us here tonight. Tim Tierney is here. He's Director of Business Recruitment and International Trade. We were up here on Friday for a wonderful tour. We were actually looking at the next project, so there's lots in the hopper right now. But as a North Country Union High School alumni, I want to congratulate you because this really is Rutland City's moment. Rutland, did I say Rutland?
You just It's okay, Lyle. We'll edit the tape. Don't worry.
So I live in Rutland, and if I disappear right after this. So this truly is Newport City's moment. You should be very proud. With the support of the professional leadership that you have in place, and you hear from that leadership frequently, you are taking control of your future, and that's exciting for Newport City. I can attest to the fact that your mayor, your city council, your downtown development organization, your Northeast Vermont Development Association have aggressively and successfully worked to obtain both state and federal grant money. Given the competitive nature of these grants and these opportunities, they have worked very hard. Many, many applications came in for the grants that they received, and it took a lot of effort to get them. So, on a recent visit on Friday, it was pointed out to our state team that the city of Newport is solidly positioning itself for the future and for future success. They are looking to all the future projects. The one across the street is the beginning. There will be many more after that. At no fault of your own, you've lived with the vacant, underutilized property across the street for a very, very long time, longer than any of us would like to have seen. In close collaboration with your local legislators who are here tonight, who have lobbied very strongly on your behalf, our Department of Economic Development team is pleased to have been allowed to play a very small part in pushing your vision for the future forward as a conduit for some of that funding that's going to be coming to you that will create new options for housing and business development in your downtown. As Governor Scott recently stated, these grants will help Newport transform its downtown for both residents and visitors to enjoy for years to come. The development block, no longer the pit, is ready to be repurposed, and I'm confident that it will showcase how important our downtowns are to economic development and community development. I want to congratulate all of you for taking control of your future, because as someone just said a moment ago, no one's coming to save us. And when I say us, I feel I'm part of you. I lived here, and it's important to me that things move forward. So I want to congratulate you for Newport City's moment, one that is now ready for the next step. And please don't tell the governor I said I was in Rutland.
Okay, I promised the legislators that I would offer them the opportunity to speak, and I suggest, yeah, Russ?
Yep.
Actually, I think what I want to do is I'm going to ask Woody if he'd like to speak first as Newport's city rep, and then we'll go to Russ and work our way through the list.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank also everyone that's been involved with this purchase and sale agreement. For a long time in the legislature, I've often heard about Burlington's coal and how they were suffering. And, you know, I don't think there's any place in Vermont, or any town or city, that doesn't have a hole or burnt out building that's taking away from their downtown. So we are very fortunate that we have this opportunity to move ahead. I'd also like to bring attention to a few of our legislators. All of us have promoted Newport, but I would say my colleague, former colleague, or soon to be former colleague, and former colleague that was a legislator here representing Newport, Mike Marcotte from the Commerce Committee, this chairmanship, he's done a great deal in all this work as well as our senators, Engels and Morley. Really appreciate all of their work. As we all know, the States Block has been called a number of things since its demolition, and probably one of the most hopeful names that I often used in the appropriate Ways and Means Committee was that our goal, I would correct people and say it's not a hole, it's an opportunity to happen. And we have to be reminded don't have to be reminded, it has taken a long time to get to this period. But we should also remember good things do take time. And I think all of us remain hopeful that Newport is well on its way now to a bigger and brighter future. Thanks to so many individuals that have been involved. So thank you.
Thank you. Russ Ingalls doesn't really need an introduction, but I will say that over the last 8 or 9 months, it's not uncommon for me to get an email or a phone call from Russ to say, I've got this idea, or how can I be helpful? He's gone out of his way over and over again. So Russ, thank you for being here tonight too.
Thank you, Mayor. 8 years ago, my wife and I bought a property right over here, and we bought it because of the property. And I would say that if that opportunity was to happen all over again, I would have bought the property because of what Newport was and is and what they're doing. I never would have believed 8 years ago that I would have felt the connection I have to this community that I feel right now. I'm very proud of all the efforts that's going forward. I'm proud of the mayor. I'm proud of the council. I'm proud of Lyle and Tim and the state's connection. Dave, as far as all the efforts he put in, and the community in itself. Yes, we do tend to get comments on there from people blathering about things they don't know about. But, you know, we're quick to defend ourselves and quick to move forward. And I do believe with the new city manager, apologize for that, that Newport's days, best days are ahead of them. And it all starts with what we do with this opportunity zone across the way. I think that as things shake out, that nothing happens until you own something. And I think it'll be pretty amazing on what will go forward, not knowing nothing, but what will go forward once that we have this opportunity in front of us. I look at it as a blank canvas to really make something special. And how couldn't it be when you look out here to see what we live with every day, the natural beauty of this landscape of what we have. And I think our best days are ahead of us. And I do thank the community very much for sticking with it and pushing forward. And very, very proud to be a resident of Newport right now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll give each of you a chance to speak if you like. You're invited but not required. But Senator Morley, would you like to speak? Say a few words.
Yeah. I'll be brief. Actually, I don't represent Newport town. But one thing I do want to say is you guys have done it the right way. You involved everyone. You've got your community behind you. You've got the state agencies involved. You have the legislators involved, and that's absolutely critical. You haven't hidden anything. You haven't gone around things, and I think that's a huge plus for you folks moving forward. Now, that being said, there's still a lot more work to do, right? And I really look forward, because it's been a long time. I've heard about it. It's been in the papers, the record. It's been in the Newport Daily. It's been in the Chronicle, and I really look forward to seeing what you folks designed and developed there. And I think you all may be hired to go to other communities because you've done such a remarkable job, and I really look forward to seeing the progress. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Larry, Labor, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Mayor, for giving me the opportunity. Although I'm not a member of this, but for many years, back in the days, or furniture parts. That'll give you an idea. The jewel is about to be exposed. That would be your limit. I'm a boater. I love this lake. I want to see this purity increase, not stay static. I've long supported environmental issues concerning our water quality. I have a sailboat. I came down this lake Sunday night from Mecca. Running lights on. How do I come into focus? A city that's lit up by a huge granite building called the church on it there. You look to the left, coming down, that would be the east side, formerly called the landing. And all of it, it's standing on the precipice of the brook. That comes from, I represented this group, starting at Beecher Falls, north of Cambridge, and running down the tide. London, all those small towns that are tree rich and cash poor. They need help. Newport's going to grow fast enough so that they will change their traffic patterns of shopping in New Hampshire. A lot of the individuals that I met campaigning up in Canaan, they're employed in New Hampshire because Ethan Allen left Beecher Falls, just left the sawmill and grind. We got to stop exporting our population. How can our businesses recruit if we stay where we are? Hospital can't recruit. Schools are going to find out that a diminishing population of students. All of that can change. You're on the right path. Thank you very much.
I know Mike's here. Is Richard Nelson still in the room? Okay. And Mike, are you the only other one? Any of our legislative folks? So Mike Marcotte doesn't really need an introduction in this room. I said to him a little bit ago, it's been a fair number of mornings that Saturday mornings at 7 a.m. that I find myself at the Jimmy Quick getting Mike's advice, along with, I think, a lot of other people in this community. So Mike, we're so glad you're here. And really, truly, Mike has been there as the chair of the Commerce and Economic Development Committee for us every step of the way over the last couple of years and through a lot of very challenging conversations.
Thank you for that, Mr. Mayor. I was born and raised in Newport. Went to school, graduated from Sacred Heart. I left Newport in '78 and moved 5 miles away into Coventry. But when I ran for office in 2004, Newport was part of the district, and I represented Newport until 2022, when Newport's population was able to have its own single district. I was with Woody for a number of years. We continually worked to see what we could do to help Newport. You know, the EB5 problem, really, I think Newport suffered the most. And we realize that, all of your legislators from this area realize that. So doesn't state government. The legislature realized that. The administration realized that. Lyle came to me, Commissioner Jepson, and said, you know, we have the Riddick program. We have an idea of maybe making some changes there. So we chatted about it, and it became clear to me that through some of the experiences that I've had in writing legislation over the last 22 years, maybe there's some extra language that we could insert in there to make sure that Newport was taken care of. And at the same time, I was working with the chair of appropriations in the Senate, Senator Birchlet. Montpelier was having another issue as well as the old post office. So together, and working with our senators and our House members from the area, we crafted some legislation to make sure that Newport and Montpelier were taken care of fully. And that didn't happen just because we wanted it to happen. You know, the governor was behind it. The speaker was behind it. The chair of House Appropriations was behind it. My committee was behind it. Anything that we could do to help Newport, the legislature was behind it. Passed, the economic development bill passed with the language in it. And now NVDA has been awarded $1 million grant to make sure that Newport is in control, that we're in control. And so, you know, the work that the mayor has done, that the council has done, Dave and Newport Downtown Development, and everybody that's getting behind this. As everyone has, it's been said, the mayor said, Lyle has said, it's up to us to determine our destination. It's up to us to make Newport great again. And this is the first step. It's going to be a long road, but it's a good road that we're on now. And I hope that we continue to be behind the mayor, the council, Newport Downtown Development, and keep working to make sure that Newport becomes what it should be. A great place for not just Newport citizens, but for Orleans County. When Newport is strong, Orleans County is strong. So I thank everybody for coming out tonight. This is an important evening. And Mayor, thank you. Council, thank you. And thank you everyone for coming.
I'll just add, because Richard couldn't stay, Richard Nelson from Derby was here earlier. And one of the things he said to me was, it is very clear to Richard and to the town of Derby's select board that Newport and Derby's destiny is tied up one with another. And we have to do this work together going forward. I couldn't agree more. And I'm thrilled with the kind of cooperation that we've been experiencing so far, not just with Derby, but with all of the towns and villages. I think, Carrie, I was at what, 12 different select board meetings last winter on what I call the Newport Charm Initiative. And I was just out trying to get to know people and to say, we know that what we're doing impacts you and we want you at this table and to be a part of this conversation. So I've had a lot more opportunity to understand what goes on in our state legislature, and I just ask for a round of applause for all of our folks who volunteer their time basically every year for months on end to go down and be the voice and the eyes and the feet and the hands of the northern part of the NEK for us. So thank you to all of you. Okay, we're going to shift gears a little bit. We're getting toward the end. I just want you to know the speech of fine's getting near the end here. And I'm just going to take a moment of personal privilege. I can say with total confidence that none of what we're describing tonight would have happened if Dave LaForce from Built by Newport had not stepped up 3 years ago and said, I want my kids to want to be here, and I want to make this community stronger, and if I can do something to help, I want to do it. Dave has put his personal relationships with all the people he's had friendships with all of his life and with other business owners in this community on the line over and over and over again to say to them, I know you feel like you've been burned before. This is the real deal. Please come. And over again, folks have been stepping up. So I'm deeply grateful to my friend and colleague, Dave LaForce, and he's going to share a little bit about kind of what it is that's keeping us on a true north kind of orientation.
I wrote a page, but I'm not going to read it because I'm sure people are sick of hearing me talk. But all I'll say is that a few things. You know, we put together the master plan several years ago now. It's already been 2 years. I encourage everybody to not forget that document because it's my guidepost and it's all our guideposts on what we want to do. I think people forget that we have that guidepost. So I highly encourage you, read the master plan. I encourage you, when you hear people, what's going to go there, it's in the master plan. Everything is laid out. And we did that effort 2 years ago to guide us. And that's been our drumbeat. It's guiding us. The only other thing I'll just say is, and Rick talked about this earlier, you know, there are weeks that this work is really exciting, and there are weeks that it's so discouraging, I want to die. Serious. And it's hard work. And you add in the cost of things today, it's only made it worse. If this was 10 years ago, it would be a different day. The work would be a lot easier. Construction costs are what they are, and we have to figure out how to beat that and do what we want to do. So my big ask to everybody that's here tonight, because I know a lot of you are supporters, encourage our work. Tell people we have a plan. Tell them all the documents we have as our guideposts, where they are, where they're located, what they say. We need that encouragement because when we're applauded, it's a big boost for us that are in the trenches doing this work. When we're bashed constantly on social media, it hurts. So I'm thankful for doing this work. I'm thankful for this council. I'm thankful for everybody in this room. We've worked incredibly hard. This last week and today is a moment of greatness and that we're celebrating. And these are the moments that uplift us and encourage us to keep moving. So thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Last winter, Newport Downtown Development put out a community survey that went all over the kingdom. And Emily Smart from our board of directors is here to remind us of what we learned in that community survey that had pushing 1,000 responses, completed surveys. It was really quite remarkable how many people responded. So Emily, the floor is yours.
Everyone, I do have notes, but I will try to be brief, and I have slides. So we're going to talk about data, so don't fall asleep on me. So Dave asked the question about a year ago, what comes next? We've got the master survey. What do we do now? We want to hear from the community. We didn't want to make assumptions about what we wanted, right? We're Newport Downtown Development, but we wanted to hear from the community. So we put together a survey. We got about 900 responses. So tonight I'm going to tell you about what we learned. You go to the next slide? Great. So this is a little bit who we heard from. We got 900 responses. 70% of those people were not Newport City residents. So that just highlights what we've been hearing over and over. This is not just Newport City residents. This is our community at large. Oh, sorry, go back 1 second. 40% of those people have children at home, which is a really important statistic, right? This is about family. We want to keep our kids here. Okay, you can see we had a good distribution of ages. Now, oh yeah, sorry, go back. It's going so fast.
You're
I don't have that. Okay. We asked people to prioritize their top 3 categories, and this is the results of that. As you can see, there were 4 categories that really pulled away. Food and beverage, retail shopping, entertainment, and family activities. The others down at the bottom, it doesn't mean nobody needs them or wants them. It's just those are what we need now, right? That's what we need in our lives now. Those are the gaps that we need to fill. Okay, you can go on. I'm trying to be so fast. Okay, so from those top 4 categories, we ask everyone, what would you support? What are the specific categories within those specific options within those categories would you go to either daily, weekly, or monthly? And this is what we heard. The numbers on the right are like a combined total of those monthly, daily, and weekly choices. So those are the different options that you can read. I hope everybody can read this. It's very small. I will say all of this information is on our website at discovernewportbt.com under economic development. So go there, you can see all this and more. I had a great interview I did with Dave and Eleanor, all about this. Okay, trying to go fast. All right, so the last thing I want to talk about is we also read almost 400 open-ended comments. It's a lot of feedback. And a lot of those comments really kind of aligned with the data that we were seeing. But we also saw some really important things that stuck out to us. Safety and security. People want to feel safe, right? A business can be wonderful, but if people aren't feeling safe to get there, they're not going to support it. Housing, got to get the people here because we need a year-round city. We don't need just the tourist season during the summer. We need a local community to build up, right? Let's look at the lake. Let's use this waterfront. We've got this asset. Don't turn our back on it. And then most importantly, I think, although a lot of people didn't say it, keep it a small town, family-friendly vibe. We don't want to feel, like a great big city. We want to keep that Vermont charm, keep feeling local. Okay, so last slide, I have 4 key takeaways. Food, retail, entertainment, and family. Those are our priorities. People want everyday use, not just novelty. Parking and safety shape whether or not people are going to show up. And housing and waterfront came up on their own without being asked. I think that's all I got. Nice to bring.
Thank you. Hey, that's a lot of words, and you all have been sitting patiently and quietly. So I'm going to invite you to take 3 minutes and turn to the person next to you or 2 people next to you. And I have 2 questions. You can choose either one or both if you want, that I would love you to just share with your person sitting near you about. One is, what questions come up for you as you hear all of what we've heard tonight? Are there questions on your mind? And the second is, are there feelings that have been evoked in you that you want to share as we've been talking about this tonight? So just I'll give you about 3 minutes total. So these are quick little impressions, not long speeches. Okay, go ahead.
All right. You guys know.
So I'm going to give each of you a chance to speak if you want as we transition. I'm going to give each of you a chance to speak if you want as we transition or not. It's up to you. You want to say something? Good. Good.
Well, that's
Hey, can I have your attention back up here? I can have your attention back up front, please. So this is both a celebration and it marks an important transition. The ability to kind of control the next steps on that key property is a huge victory for us, but it's also just the first step in what I expect will be a very long process going forward. And one of the things that we thought would be helpful would be to clarify, especially with Joe's arrival this week, a little bit about kind of how we understand different folks' roles in this process going forward. So I just wanted to kind of share my own impressions of that. As mayor, it's my job to be the public face of this campaign and the Energizer Bunny to kind of encourage and motivate and cajole and lie to a little to get people to volunteer and do whatever I've got to do to get the right key people at the table to have the right conversations. The council has been doing exactly, in my judgment, what a good city council is supposed to do. They've deliberated for hours. Some of you have spent a lot of time in the hallway over the last year while the council has been in executive session talking about matters that we can't really talk about publicly. And I'll just say a word about that. We believe in transparency. We've really tried hard to model it. And if we had been public about a whole lot of the different possibilities on acquisition that we've been talking about for the last 9 months, it would have been a shit show. Kid you not, because everybody's watching, it gets picked up, it gets thrown out in the media, and we owe the people who are dialoguing with us about how they might be involved in future moves some sense of privacy as we talk about what the possibilities are and the best way to go forward. So our council's job is to make sure that we are being as transparent as we possibly can, to listen carefully, and ultimately to be the deciders. It's the council's job to sign off on the key decisions that we made. The city manager, who I am so grateful to have on board, is going to be involved in visioning and strategizing on the planning with all of us. He's been at almost every meeting I've had in the last 7 or 8 days. And he and I are talking together about where does it make sense for Joe to show up? Where should I be there? Where should we both be present? We'll keep talking about that because it's also Joe's job, of course, to manage the city, to work with our department heads and support them in a way they have not felt supported in a very long time. And so Joe's got his hands full just with trying to do the careful running of the city. And then finally, the last key piece, and one of the reasons we thought Joe was the right person for this job right now is because he has experience with managing grants in a way that is transparent and thoughtful and effective and on the details. So that's good because that's not me. So Joe will be primarily responsible with his staff to make sure that when we say yes to a grant, we know how we're going to make it work, and we are watching the details so that we can follow through on the reporting and all that's necessary to make sure that we are good partners to our funders. Newport Downtown Development, at least for the foreseeable future, will stay at the table. They will continue to drive overall strategic planning, and they will make recommendations for the council's consideration. For those who don't know, the council just signed a new memorandum of understanding in the end of June, I believe it was, right, Sharon? With Newport Downtown Development. And I'll just clarify here so that people hear it at least once. Newport Downtown Development for years has been receiving a grant from the city of Newport's operating budget of $30,000 a year to support the work that we do. The organization, Newport Downtown Development, which I direct, has not asked for another dime from the city for the administrative overhead or any of the work that is being done on behalf of the city. It's an in-kind provision of service because we are partners working together to try and make this community better. When we hit issues where it clearly could involve a conflict of interest because MDD might stand to gain in some way, or it has a dog in the fight, like signing an MOU, I have removed myself from those conversations and the council has taken over. We'll continue to do that. It's a little odd. I'm the first to admit it. We're all in this community wearing a lot of hats, right? Carter works with NVDA. Andrew is a volunteer firefighter. John has handled legal transactions all around this community for many, many years. Sharon's been a public school teacher here. All of us are putting effort in because we believe in the future of this community. White and Berg will continue to be at the table for as far as I'm concerned, as long as possible, because we are getting high quality assistance and technical advice from Stephanie and her team, and we are deeply grateful and look forward to continuing to have that. And then finally, she's not available for you to all meet tonight, but Jolie Frechette with More Strategies has just come on to help us with managing how we talk about all of these plans in a way that will make it understandable and clear to people. And so stay tuned because there's exciting stuff coming about that too. I think that's it. So council members, I know all of you may not want to speak. In fact, some of you might be maybe reticent to speak, but I'm just going to give an opportunity if any council members would like to speak before we open it up to the community.
Sure. Can you, yes, that one works really well, I think. Okay, at least I can hear it. Hi, Carter Finnegan, president of the city council for just a few months now. I just want to underscore how grateful I am for Newport Downtown Development, specifically Dave LaForce, Brian Gray, for really shepherding and being so dedicated to this effort and really helping us strategize and organize with the absence of city manager. I just want to say things that I'm keeping in mind as we move forward on this really long venture we're in for is again, I appreciate Dave bringing up the master plan. If you go on the city's website and you just search master plan, it'll come up. It's also on Discover Newport's website. But that plan really elevates and is just all about housing. And so that's what I'm really looking forward to. I can't say that's in line, but I can say that that's in all the conversations that we're having is workforce housing. And also with NVDA's ownership temporarily, it will help mitigate these environmental costs that we have the city have incurred in other projects. So again, any opportunity where the city is able to defer costs with grants, they are taking. So a lot of pre-development work and then into this next phase with environmental work. But again, as Larry brought up, underscoring the water quality. So all of this work will be done to a T and protect our natural resources. So those are just a few thoughts in my head.
Andrew, anything you want to ask?
No, I'm all set.
John?
No.
Sharon?
Just Sharon Perry. I grew up here. I'm still here. I raised my family here, and I taught Newport City for 36 years. And I've had several people who are sitting here in my classes. But I want to thank everybody for having the vision to bring Newport back to life. I guess I would say it. Newport's dear to me. That's why I'm still here.
I also want to thank all the people who I'm picking your brains, or when I'm asking for your opinions, people sitting here. Jim had to listen to me for quite a while and not too long ago, and just, I value the input and I value the comments, people in the area. So I thank you for that. And please continue to be positive. No, there's a lot of trust issues, but I think we've got to put that behind us and continue forward and believe in Newport and believe in what we can make possible.
Sure. Jim, anything you'd like to add? No, sir. Okay. All right, so we're going to open it up. If anybody would like to share one of those comments or questions or feelings you're having, you're welcome to come to the microphone. Just give your name and where you're from, and feel free to share and ask a question. We've got plenty of people in the room to answer questions. Lori?
Lori Graham, resident of Newport. I guess this question actually might be for Mr. Snedeker. So once you take possession and start working with environmental things, do we have any thought of how long or short that might take to work through before we move to the next step?
I think for the environmental piece, as soon as we take ownership, and probably around October 1st, we can begin the sampling, the phase 2 testing and sampling that's more invasive that we can hunt in when we see early. We expect that will take about a 4-month period. And then based on what the testing finds, there may be some corrective action needed or some remediation, but we don't exactly know then. But I think we'll be fully done within a year and a half.
And maybe while I'm here, I'll just ask a question for the mayor and the council, I guess, and maybe Tom is still here. So we have a grant now for downtown, the infrastructure. Do we have any clue as to when that's going to begin? Or I know we're still just talking. What is the future available?
Yeah, I'll just say we have, so Lori's referring to the grant that we got from the Northern Border Regional Commission for $3 million. That's the maximum they can offer in a catalyst grant, or I think in a grant of any kind. It requires a match from us, and we are working right now. We have a number of thoughts and possibilities on how we can work out that match that we're not prepared to speak publicly about yet. We met with folks from the Northern Border Regional Commission on Friday. When Lyle was referring to being up here, they came with him, and we sat and talked about this at length. I expect that we will be able to get started on what's it called, pre-development engineering, something like pre-development engineering. We may be able to take a modest portion of the grant that will allow us to answer a lot of the questions that will need to be answered in order to get us to the point where we can actually move forward with the long-term full grant. Tim, did I say that right?
You did, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Other questions? Oh, and actually one more thing I just want to add, because this is one I know we need to kind of calibrate people's expectations about. Dave, I think I'm correct when I say that when you go to phase 2 testing in that lot, it's going to require that we tear down a bunch of those trees that we've all grown to love because they hide the ugly pit. That's accurate. Yes. Yeah, so just so you all know, so it's not a shock to anybody, though it will still feel shocking. Part of what's going to happen next is actually to take down some of what has kind of grown up to cover what we've all been living with for the last 10 years. Go ahead, Ann.
Okay, over there?
Yes, please.
That's good. I can get out of the sun. I'm Ann Sherwin. I'm a resident of Newport, and always interested in next steps. So one of the next steps I'm interested in is if NVDA sells the land to the required to pay back the $1 million to the state as a condition of what's going to be happening next.
One of you guys want to take that?
No. First of all, if we're working with a developer, we're going to be working with a developer that is supported by the city. So we want to know what their plans are as with the city. If we do sell it to that developer and it is supported by the city, there is no requirement that the developer pays back the $1 million or NVDA.
Thank you.
But we don't know yet what a purchase price might be. So I'm going to try and position myself for you, and I don't know if I can figure it out. We don't know exactly what that price might look like. We're likely to subsidize it as heavily as we can in order to get the right developer there and doing the work, and we're going to make sure that we're figuring out how we can cover the carry costs as we go along and that kind of stuff. So it's a little that we don't know the answer fully to that question yet.
And to more fully answer that, the grant for the $1 million, there is no payback requirement by the city at all. As is the $3 million for the infrastructure work, there is no payback requirement or expectation at all.
Yeah, by my count, we're over $4.5 million in grants to date on development projects. The $3 million for NBRC, $1 million from RIDIP, another $200,000 from NVDA, another $135,000 roughly from USDA, $50,000 from the Vermont Community Fund, odds and ends grants from NCIC and NVDA earlier that totaled about $25,000 or $30,000. There's pretty big money that's been put on the table already. Go ahead, Adam, to the mic, please.
Adam Ortiz, Newport resident. Pertaining to the trees, Craigslist has a section called free. If you're willing to come out of your own pocket and take the tree out, it might be not a terrible idea to offer them to whoever is willing to come take them, because some of them are worth money. If you go try to buy one from a nursery, you're not. So I'm just, instead of destroying them, offer them for free first, and whoever's willing to come, you're not going to save them all, but one or two might be in somebody's yard. Please.
NVDA, you've been advised.
Thank you.
Carter, we have somebody online?
Yeah, Mark, you have your hand up?
Okay, it says Mark Sokolis.
Yeah.
Hi, Mark, what you got?
Oh,
Oh, wait.
1 second, Mark, we're adjusting on our end because it's trying to go. Try again, Mark.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My name is Mark Scholes. I've been here for 42 years with Lumen Trust business here. The last 22 years we have Lumen, and now it's dead. And I'd be glad to get some buildings built and get some buildings tear down and get everything put together. And I'm happy that Jones here today. Yeah, how you doing?
Thanks, Matt. Thank you, Mark. Other comments or questions tonight? Go ahead, Charlie.
Well, you asked us to turn around and talk about something, so I'm shorter than everybody else. Story of my life. One of the things that we discussed in our group, and that's kind of what you were getting at, was the housing bill. Sometimes when you hear housing in this situation, your eyes roll in the back of your head. Some people are a little worried that we're going to end up with what we had before. So I'm wondering, when you say workforce housing, I vision mid to upper housing, because we really lack that in the city for people. We have plenty of low-income housing. Low-income housing is not going to move the city forward. It may help some people, but if we're going to have it on Main Street, we're going to have housing above Main Street. That should be top shelf, top of line stuff. You get good working couples that come in that can buy that. They'll go and visit the downtown. It makes it a walking downtown. And I hope that's what we're talking about, not what we got rid of 10 years ago.
Thank you, Charlie. Dave?
Yeah, so I want to be clear. What we're going to build is workforce housing and a little bit of high-end as well. And that's what we're going to build. And I encourage all of you in this room to keep talking about that story, because we've been saying it on repeat and people still are confused. We are not, I mean, as far as rural edge, as a place in this community, and they've done a great job. That's not what we're talking about here. So everybody needs to be assured that that's the plan.
And could I add also with that, I mean, growing the grand list. That's a long-term strategy for addressing what Lyle mentioned at our budget workshop conversation at the top of January. But that's the long-term strategy to help raise more revenue, is bringing more houses onto our grand list, but also supporting more businesses and starting that economic engine in our downtown core. It's critical. So.
Stephanie, I wonder if you might want to speak. Dave just reminded me, and I think it's a great idea. We just signed a contract, the city just signed a contract for a market survey, market study, and maybe you could talk a little bit about why we're doing that and how it plays into the question Charlie asked.
Sure, yeah, I think this is relevant because what the market, the reason stuff doesn't get built is it's dictated by the market. So the market will decide what is considered affordable and what is in demand. And so we've hired, the city has contracted with a firm to do a survey of the data using different data sources, using anecdotal information, interview data, as well as the resources they have to understand what are the products that are needed here, and again, what's in demand for today, but what's also in demand for tomorrow. And so one of the things we know is that there are people who are underhoused and there are people who are overhoused, for example. People who are living in a bigger house than they need because they can't afford to find something that's smaller, because nothing smaller that's comfortable exists. So that kind of data will support how we position the product, the parcel to the market, and will also inform any developer who is coming in to run the numbers for their own development pro forma.
Thank you. Other questions? Patrick, come on up.
Sorry, Charlie. Patrick Curley, is this on? Yeah,
Yep.
Newport resident. We all have to make sacrifices. I'm willing to sacrifice the view out of our office with the trees. It looks really nice in the summer. Sad, but true. But there are going to be sacrifices. I grew up in Boston, the Big Dig. This is like Newport's little Big Dig, right? So we got to be like really planned about disruption to Main Street. I feel for Rick and Eleanor and Exie and Garrett and his wife on Main Street. Like, we got to make sure those stores aren't impacted. We got to make sure traffic isn't diverted all the way around town. We got to encourage people to continue driving down Main Street when this is going on. Like, sidewalk closures have got to be thought out. Traffic patterns got to be thought out. I know people will think about this, but I just want to make it very clear that, like, it's going to have a big impact, and I want you to, like, we're going to have to be patient. So that's something I just want to, like, get out in the air. But I'd love to hear about the peripheral projects, Newberry, Family Dollar. Can anybody speak to any movement on those, or is that just like backburnered?
That's a great question. It's not entirely backburnered. We are actively talking about some other sites in town. The Newberry block, is what we call it, where the J.J. Newberry department store is high on our list, and we are in conversation about it all the time. We do not have an agreement with a developer ready to ink, so we're not really prepared to talk about it. The Family Dollar site is kind of lower on our list at the moment, but it's out there. It's something we're thinking about. And there are 3 or 4 other sites in town, actually probably half a dozen sites in town, that we talk about on a regular basis. We're going to take, our mantra every week is we got to get our first crane on Main Street, right? Like, things will begin to feel like they're really shifting when the first crane comes in. So our goal is wherever we can make a first project happen, that's where we're going. And we're considering numerous ones, and in fact, it may be that something else gets built out before we get to anything on the empty development block. We don't know yet. But what we do know is that the momentum shift that we need involves getting that property under control, because nobody else is going to want to touch downtown Newport if they don't think we have control over long-term development prospects on that empty block. So that's why it's such a key piece of information, even if it doesn't happen first. Thanks, Patrick, for that question. Any other comments or questions? Okay, council members, we have an action that we should take tonight that was in the packets that were distributed. This is a memorandum of understanding that we would sign tonight at your, if you agree, between Northeastern Vermont Development Association, NVDA, and the City of Newport, and it's short. I'm just going to read it so everyone in the room knows what we're doing here. It is understood by and between Northern Vermont Development Association, NVDA, and the City of Newport that the parties hereto will work in good faith to accomplish the following transactions. A, NVDA will purchase real property consisting of 1.31 acres more or less and known and numbered as 151 to 189 Main Street, 35 and 42nd 2nd Street, and 32 Central Street, located in the City of Newport, from we're purchasing from Michael I. Goldberg, receiver, for $1.1 million. B, NVDA will complete necessary environmental work at the property to the satisfaction of the City of Newport. C, the City of Newport or an appropriate developer or partner approved by the City Council will purchase the property from NVDA for any carrying costs incurred by NVDA beyond the anticipated taxes and insurances for the first year that NVDA holds the property. And it would be agreed to on this day. And I'll accept that as a motion and make one explanation. Anybody want to move that memorandum? As I just read it?
So moved.
Okay, I got a motion from Andrew.
I'll second.
And a second from John. And I'll just clarify because it doesn't feel entirely clear to me. The plan is that NVDA will cover the related carrying costs, the cost of insurance and taxes on that property for the next 6 months to a year, whatever it takes to get us, well, up to a year that it takes to get us through this stage. So I just want to be clear that we do not expect there to be an impact on the city budget in any way for the foreseeable future. Okay, I've got a motion and a second. Anybody want to speak to this on council? Any questions?
I'm going to abstain.
You're going to abstain?
Yeah.
Because you
I'm
were,
going to abstain because NVDA is my employer. So- Oh, it went on.
you're on. You just
Was
didn't
on?
really speak
Oh,
to it.
all right.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so Carter's going to abstain. Any other comments or questions from council members? Any community members, comments or questions? Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries with one abstention to be noted in the minutes, Jim. Thank you. So I will sign off on that. Yeah, no kidding. Okay, the last thing, Stephanie, would you come up for just a second and help me ask this little survey question you want me to ask?
Yes, would love to. We are, as we embark on this next phase, one thing that's really important is getting everybody informed and also to gather input. So we want to know from you where you get your information. Where do you most often find out about things like this and other community actions? So we're going to do a survey. And I'm trying to think of the categories off the top of my head, starting with
I'll help them.
newspaper.
Yeah.
Yep, okay.
Let's do them one at a time. So what we're going to do is ask you if you get your news this way, and then we will ask a second question on the same thing, which is how do you think the people you spend time with, family and friends, colleagues at work, whatever, how do you think they get their news? And we'll do these one at a time. If you don't think you get your primary news through social media, just don't raise your hand. Make sense? So the first one would be, how do you get your news? No, we're gonna, hold on, Adam, please. How do you get your, no. Do you feel like you use social media regularly to get news about this community? Raise your hand if you do. That's interesting.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, Jolie can't see these, but Jolie, that's probably
A quarter.
a quarter. I was going to say about 25%. How do you think? Do you think that your friends, neighbors, work associates, people you spend time with, get their news from social media? Raise your hand. More.
More, third.
Yeah.
To half.
Third to half. Yep. Okay. Next one. People in this room, do you feel like you turn to the newspapers, the Chronicle, the Express, those two in particular because they're local, for your news? There you go, Joe. That's gratifying tonight, isn't it? Pretty good. All right. And Ed's here in the room too, I think, right, Ed?
80%.
Thank you for all you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was how many?
80%.
Yeah, I'd say that was like 80% getting their news from the newspapers. Do you feel like your friends, neighbors, associates get their news from the newspaper? Raise your hand if you do.
Ooh. Not much. Not
Yeah,
much.
okay, that's very interesting.
No.
All right, let's do another one.
Um,
We had more.
Other source? Sorry, I'm blanking out right now.
Email.
Email. Yeah. Or,
Direct email?
yeah, and I want to do front porch forum too in a moment. Let's do email first. Like direct email information or solicitation. How many of you feel like you get your news that way?
Okay.
Yeah, okay, a smattering, maybe 15, 20%. And how many of you feel like your friends or neighbors do? Again, about 10, 15%. What about front porch forum? How many of you in the community turn to front porch forum for your news?
Again, maybe 10%.
Okay, maybe 10%. And your neighbors?
Using front porch forum? A little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit.
All right.
Okay. Is there a good way for people to contact you, or who should they contact if they want to see something promoted in another space? Like, if you want us to use Front Porch Forum more because you use it more or your neighborhood uses it more, where should they reach out?
If y'all haven't figured out where to find me yet, you're not paying attention.
Is it you though? Is it you, or
Yeah,
is it
it's
Joe?
me
or
or
is
Joe,
it...
honestly. Reach out to one of
Okay,
us and
all
say,
right.
this is my feedback.
And specifically, one thing I want to ask everybody in the room tonight and online is, because you're here, it shows you care. We really appreciate that. We also know that there are people who couldn't make it tonight. They may care, but they may have small children. They may have mobility issues. They may have reasons they can't make it to this meeting. They may not know. They may be working 2 jobs, 3 jobs, not be able to make it. How do we reach them? We want everyone in on this effort, and we want all voices. So if you think of ways that we can access people doing a pop-up event somewhere or showing up at a specific place, please let us know. We really want to know.
Thank you, Steph.
Yeah.
Adam, it's got to be quick. Just ask your question.
I watched the council meeting on NEK-TV, and the other one is the touchscreen.
Oh, good point. How many of you do watch NEK-TV on a regular or semi-regular basis? Raise your hands. Yeah, okay, 15, 20%. And how many of you think you have neighbors or friends who do? Yep, about the same. Okay, all right, we're going to shift gears. We're going to take a break for a moment. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to break for 10 minutes. People who need to go home, feel free. But you should know that the second part of the meeting, which will not be anywhere near as long as the first one, I promise, because we're not going to do content tonight. It's really mostly about an explanation that the Charter Task Force has been, kind of what they've been doing, and we're going to introduce the timing, and probably the council's vote tonight will be on whether or not to hold a special meeting on Thursday where we'll begin doing a deeper dive into the charter questions. So these two things, in my mind, are tied together. Whether or not we have a charter that is modernized and is understandable to every person in this community matters a lot as we're thinking about how to be clear and definitive about our next steps in development in this community. So please, if you can stay, please do. If you need to go, we understand and we're grateful you came tonight. And if you're going to stay, this is a quick bio break and grab some food so I don't have to figure out what to do with it in an hour or less.
I think Lyle has to drive the, Rutland.
10-minute break. Go ahead, everybody. of social media. But you're right, I could have, because I think that's actually what a lot of locally are getting. Are you gonna make her take you home? Or are you staying for the charter?
I'm not sick, I'm just trying to make sure I don't bring something.
It's coming.
I'm one of the local community guys.
Yeah, you and me both. The That's a great answer. That's right. Hey, were you doing my wife? Too bad. This is my wife. Go. Yeah. I haven't read it. That's kind of cool. All right. Sounds good. It's good to see you. Not gotta be that way. Your boat would be this way. There's the door. Now that Joe's here, I'm going to start reading. So I gave up reading.
I don't doubt that.
It's a different world. That book is a different world.
So we had something else. That's true. So I learned now. I'm going to just John help you tonight. Really changed.
I don't know what I hate this phone, but at the same time, it's like a life.
That's exactly how I feel.
It's all done. So that's one of the changes we added.
I appreciate it.
And that's basically.
It's if you assume just that for the office and the community, so to take an executive session. Thank you.
Okay, everybody who's staying, come on back and have a seat, please.
So check, you check.
I listen to him speak at the same. He's brilliant. Yeah.
Okay, we're moving on to item number 7 on the agenda, which is a report from the special task force, co-chaired by Charlie Pronto and Sharon Perry, that has been meeting, I am not making this up, twice a week for 4 hours pretty much each meeting, all summer long.
More than that.
Yeah, sorry, I may be underestimating.
5 hours.
Yeah, 4 to 5 hours pretty much every time they meet. So if you want like some kind of a special award for endurance, go and watch the video. It's quite remarkable. So I want to explain where we are, just about kind of next steps, so you understand what we're doing tonight and what we are not doing tonight. Sharon and maybe Charlie, I don't know how you guys worked it out, they're going to make a little bit of a kind of a presentation about what got us to here, what they've been thinking about, how they've done their work, etc. And they're going to describe the document that we are going to consider, if the council votes it, at a special meeting on Thursday night to take as our kind of our primary proposal to consider for public hearings in the month of September. Okay, so tonight we are not going to talk about content. I'm not going to take any comments on content tonight. We've been here a long time and it's warm, and we're going to have plenty of chances to, as an old friend of mine would say, cuss and discuss this matter going forward. So tonight it's really about process, how we got to where we are, a description of what is in the document from their perspective. And I want to recognize we have a number of people, maybe all of them, who have been on this task force this summer. So Dennis Chanette is in the room right here. Danny Grant is here. Who else do we have? Sorry. Travis Gates is right in front of me. Anybody I'm missing?
Mike Marcotte.
And Mike Marcotte, thank you. Yeah, everybody's here, right? That's the whole committee. So this group has been doing a lot of work, and I lied to every one of them that I had a hand in recruiting and told them that it would be 1 hour twice a month for the summer. So I was wrong. So Sharon, I'll hand it over to you, and the action that we'll do at the end will be to determine whether or not the council wants to move forward with a special meeting.
So to say that it was a little quick review and update would be an understatement, because we literally started out on Mondays and Wednesdays. We thought a couple of hours would be great. It ended up being till noon each of those days, and then we'd all go home with the little assignments to research and to come back and share with each other. At our very first meeting back in June, as a task force, we first discussed how do we want to move forward. And we talked that we could continue with the language of the proposed. We could look at the current. We've added around a few things, but what we came up with was we had the current charter we were working on was written in 1918. Yes, it needs updating in a big, big way, but it's also Newport. It's our history, and it's our city. So we chose, as a task force, to start at Section 1 and work our way to the end, Section 42. And we went through each of the sections, one by one, and once we got into the middle of the document, many of them could be repealed because they are no longer applicable, like overseeing the poor, public bathing in the lake, all those kind of things, the obvious ones. But where it wasn't the obvious, and it was truly the working of the city, we spent a lot of time. We wanted to make sure that we had a city that has checks and balances, so that there isn't just one having all the power. So when I say checks and balances, thinking of the Constitution, we are looking at that between the mayor, the city council, and the city manager, so that we are working as a team and we are checking and balancing each other. And that was our goal. We tried to be as transparent as we could. Every meeting was recorded on NEK-TV. We had a nice group of 3 to 4 people who came to every meeting and sat for the duration and were invaluable with language, with what-if scenarios, and helping us to figure out what might be in the future. We don't know what we don't know was constantly our line. So we had Ann and Pam and Jennifer and Claire too. Lori was always with us online. We had a lot of feedback, and I know everybody was going back and talking to neighbors and their group as well. So the council, what we have in front of you is our first draft. It has been in front of the lawyer. That was Charlie and I and Rick and Joe met with him this morning to go over his red lines, his red draft. That took all morning too. That we didn't get out of till noon. And I won't use the word battled, but we defended. Because every word that went onto this document is there for purpose. One section, section 20, I believe, we spent 4 hours on just that one section. Nothing in here got put on for the sake of putting it down. It went down deliberately after lots of discussion. So, what you have in front of you is this, what we had 2 versions we sent to the lawyers. This one here, which we call council/public copy. You'll see that it has the original sections from the charter. And when it was a section that we updated with language or verbiage, we did that. You will see strike-throughs of maybe words or phrases. Additional words are put in bold and underlined, because that's what we have to do. Others, we did a complete strike-through and then just rewrote it because there was too much that was going to have a strike-through. Charlie, what else were we going to, anything else you want to add?
Well, the city clerk treasurer being appointed instead of elected is huge.
That's a big one.
So that's factored into.
You just repeat it, Sharon, because I want to make sure we're using the mics and we're on the camera, because folks may watch online.
So one of the big changes, there were several big updates, and the city clerk and city treasurer going to an appointed position instead of an elected position was a big one. The checks and balance between the city council and the city manager, you'll see that that was a big one, right down until 11:57 this morning.
Spending was
Spending was a big one, section 20. I think that as a task force, it was a very good blend of people. Charlie being a former mayor, myself having grown up here, Danny having been here a year, sort of like new to our city. She had lots of explain how this works or those kind of questions. Mike and Dennis having been here all their lives as well. Travis having been here a couple of years. Yeah, so again, coming in with a different perspective than what the rest of us had. So I have to say personally, I thought it was a great mix of people, and the discussions that we had, even though they took 4 hours sometimes on just one section, they were rich, they were valuable. And I wish we could always have conversations like this, because they were good, they were very good. And again, the language and the what-ifs that the community provided, that was invaluable. I thank you guys for all of that too. Anybody else on the task force have anything you'd like to say? We went down a few rabbit holes, admittedly. We had to pull ourselves out of those rabbit holes.
I might just want to add,
Can you just go to the mic, Charlie? So we-
So, one of the other things we tried to achieve in this, I think, was, we took a lot of advice from people who voted against. Obviously, the last one went down spectacularly, so we didn't want to spend all our time doing that again. There was some really good stuff in that. And we used some of it. So John, I know, put his heart and soul into it, and that wasn't a lot of what we had. We took a lot of stuff from that because we had to reword stuff that was 1918. What we didn't do, we tried to make it readable so that people could pick the charter up, read it, and understand how it worked without having to say, well, this, is done by VSA 17 chapter whatever. So you had to actually Google it to figure out what the hell your charter said. So we tried not to do that. So we tried to make everything readable, understandable, put it all together. We understood that the trust in the city over the last 20 years has been sorely lacking. And we tried to put in the transparency part that Sharon's talking about to make sure that some of these things were spelled out pretty clearly. Everybody's going to have an opportunity to look at this, have some comment. It's still not too late to change some things. So that's going to be a good thing. We're going to have 2 public meetings if the council goes along with this. And we can make changes after each one of those meetings as long as we agree on it. So I think we did a pretty good job. This is probably, I've served on a lot of committees. This committee was great, just absolutely great. The people, everybody was helpful. Everybody had ideas. Everybody came from a different expertise. We gave the people that attended lots of time to speak their piece, and they certainly did. And
It was good.
so,
It was good.
so, but the one thing I get, I mean, our charter is really old and really confusing to read. And I think it's time, if we're going to move City Newport further, we need a good charter to do it. So attend the public meetings, that the council approves this, and let's make this happen.
I will also add that we were very fortunate having Mike on the committee because he was able to call his colleagues in Montpelier who are on the charter review committee, is that the right word?
There are legislative council.
Legislative council, that's the word. And he could share with them what we were going through or what we were talking about or how to put it in words. And they'd say, that'll work, or no, that won't work.
And what we may or shall.
And the mays and the shalls. So that was very, very helpful as well.
Okay, so where we are in the process is that, council members, if you would like to take this conversation forward, the way we would do it is we would entertain a motion to hold a special meeting Thursday night this week at 6 p.m. Hybrid as usual, so if you can't be here in person, you can theoretically at least still participate. We expect legal counsel Dave Rue from SB&F would be with us for that meeting, and the purpose of that meeting would be to answer any questions you all have about what was on the mind of the task force as they put this together. And then Dave Rue would walk us through what needs to happen and on what timeline in order to get this to, if it's your decision, get this to a vote on November 3rd when we're going to be having a general election anyway. And then, even then, I'll just hasten to add, for those who don't know, once council decides and sends it on, warns it for the vote, if the community votes in favor, as Sharon and Mike were just alluding, it still has to go to the legislature in the next legislative session, and it has to be approved by the legislature. So we would be entering into a process that could endure for, the next 9 months to get us across the finish line. So tonight, the only decision we really need to make is, does the council want to move forward? And if so, we would need a special meeting for Thursday night this week. And I will say that the version that has the attorney's comments written in along with all of the proposed changes that the task force has been working on will be available, or is it already, Carrie?
No.
Okay, it will be available tomorrow morning.
It's here on the paper.
There are hard copies here, but it will be online, right? We can
This
put it up
here.
online.
His comments aren't on here. He sent another copy this afternoon about 3:45.
Okay, so there will be a copy that
That's what's
incorporates, I don't think we're looking for his comments to be there.
No,
What
it
we want
incorporates,
is his comments that you all think are appropriate to be incorporated.
yeah.
And so what people will be looking at for the next 3 days before the meeting on Thursday will be effectively the task force's recommendation for what should be discussed by the voters in public hearing.
Yeah, and just
I'll
know,
clear that up a little.
Please, go ahead, go to the mic, though.
Yeah. So the copy you see here, there are the red lines were from the lawyer.
they're not here though, they didn't print in red.
Oh, you didn't? Never mind.
It will be printed tomorrow. It'll be available tomorrow.
Okay, but when you see it, it's in red,
Yeah,
right? Unless they change it.
he sent a clean copy without the red.
Right, right.
Yeah.
What we're
We'll put the
doing
red.
here-
We need the red.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, I'll let you guys work that out. Tomorrow morning sometime,
You're working it out, I'm gonna be on the road.
there will be a copy available on the homepage of the website, right, Carrie? Okay. And Charlie and Sharon are going to work it out with Carrie what that's going to look like before Sharon leaves town tomorrow morning.
I'm leaving at 6.
I'm saying tonight is what I'm saying.
I love that 5.
But we also want to remember that this is a draft. This is our best at this point, but we welcome a community input. And Charlie's had a couple comments, and I've had a couple comments, and yeah, they think of that kind of thing. And so it's not final, and I just wanted us to be clear on that we still have room for public input. That's the purpose of having the 2 meetings. Right?
Okay.
Okay.
Any questions or concerns about the process that we're following? Ian?
I do have one concern. When Water and Sewer came up with their ordinance went to the lawyers, and they got the committee itself, the Water and Sewer Task Force, got that information back, absorbed it, and then they voted on the ordinance that would be sent to the council. Unfortunately, because there was a concern about whether or not we were going to meet a deadline here of the vote in November, there was a speed involved. And so I don't think that the lawyers' comments came back to the committee as a whole to vote on. I think that the lawyers' comments got absorbed by a small group of people, but not the full committee. And I would submit that the whole committee, the whole task force, the charter task force, should be allowed to vote as a group about which of the lawyers' statements should be added and which should be not added. Just the way you did it for the ordinance.
I appreciate your comment. Sharon, I'll speak to it in a little. You want to speak first?
Well, the task force has a copy of all of the red and the comments from the lawyer. And none of you said it, none of you had any concerns with those comments.
I'm still going through most of it, there may be 2 sections.
I guess the way I was looking at that was that would all come up at the public input. And guys are shaking their heads, that's what your feelings will.
So one possibility that at least takes us a half step in the direction that Ann is proposing is that we do not have to warn this meeting until Wednesday. I think I'm right about that. We can warn a special meeting 24 hours in advance. So we could give 24 hours to the members of the task force to have an opportunity to review this and to provide any comments that they want to Sharon and Charlie, so that they can be incorporated for whatever we warn on Wednesday morning. And does that sound good? Does that sound workable to you, Joe, or no?
I think you need 48 hours to,
You think we need 48 for a special
I
meeting?
think it's 2 days, yeah.
For a task force meeting?
For a-
24
No,
hours?
no, to warn the council special meeting
Oh,
on
council.
Thursday night. I thought it was 24 hours, but I could be wrong about that. I really don't know for sure.
If it had urgency, it was.
Can you speak into the mic, please?
Sorry. I recall this, the special meeting around something urgent or an emergency related, that 24 hours or slash that was erased, but if we could warn it Tuesday, tomorrow afternoon?
If we warned it be anytime before 6 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, then it would be acceptable.
Having
Thank
our,
you.
having our
Nice.
comments go into a task force shouldn't affect the warning. I'm happy to go back and review this and have my comments and share with Charlie tonight.
Well, this is exactly, I think, the concern that Ann's raising. Ann's saying that what she was hoping for was some kind of a decision from the task force that recommends the language that would be considered by council on Thursday night at the special meeting. And, you know, I think we can get close to that by saying that the council members have got until mid-afternoon tomorrow, I'm sorry, the task force members have got until mid-afternoon tomorrow to provide any feedback. And council, Sharon and Charlie, Sharon will be traveling, so she won't be available, but Mike, go ahead.
I believe the task force is under the same obligations as any other committee.
Yeah.
We need to be able to warn our meeting if we were going to meet again. I think the timeline's just not there.
Do you feel the need for the task force to meet? That's the question.
Can I speak to this for a moment?
Please, Charlie, go ahead.
So, yeah. So what happened is they wanted to review it. The initial draft, Sharon and I received it. And they wanted to meet in the morning. Well, obviously, we don't have time to warn a meeting for that. So I said, why don't we find out, you know, what it is and go from there, because we pretty much know what most of the task force, we talked this stuff over to death, so. So most, other than the capital letters, and when you see it in red, that's going to be the lawyer's comments, other than the ones that Sharon and I didn't agree with them, with several of the comments, and we agreed not to change it. So I don't know why we would need to meet on anything not to change unless you wanted to see those comments. But we also couldn't send it out en masse to everybody because that would be a meeting. You know, so the restrictions of trying to do this easily weren't bad. After we got done, we did send out to the people on the task force the 3 or 4 things that we changed and why we changed them individually in an email. So you all received that. So I don't know.
So here's what I'm going to
recommend.
recommend.
It's not like they didn't know
Nope.
that there were changes.
So I don't think this is a heavy lift, y'all. I think we meet on Thursday night if it's the will of the council to do so. And the first order of business is going to be to hear from the task force about the recommendations. And we are happy to hear any concerns that any member, including Travis, of the task force want to bring to us to say, this is a piece that got tweaked in the conversation with the lawyers and I have the following questions about it. We have that conversation. We poll each of the members of the task force who are present and say, you know, what is your recommendation going forward? And then the council has the advice that we want from the task force. And we move on to the second part of the conversation, which is this version acceptable to the council for us to hold our first public hearing around? And if so, then we name the public hearing dates. Does that sound acceptable?
Yes.
Ann, I'm seeing a head nod. Lori, just run to the mic, please.
So as I recall last year, same kind of thing. What you're doing is approving the draft to present in public hearing. And then last year you did the same thing, and there were changes made during the public hearings to get to the final draft. So this is, in my opinion, this is nothing different. We're just including the lawyer's comments and all the comments and things in the draft that's going to go I'll use the word final, but it's really not final. It's the version that's going to the public meetings. Because your final draft won't happen until after that.
This is
that
true.
correct?
That's all true. And a lot of people have put a heck of a lot of time and energy and expertise into the creation of this draft. And it makes total sense that the council would receive. We were thoughtful about who we asked to serve on this task force. It makes total sense that we would ask each of the task force members if they have any concerns about what's being put forward, and if so, the council can try and wrestle with those concerns before we make a final decision. That is, I will remind you all, ultimately, a council decision. The council is the deciding vote on whether or not we have a draft, what the draft will look like going forward. But it is totally appropriate, given all the work that the task force members have done, to have an opportunity for them to say, yeah, I hear these concerns. Can somebody please give me the rationale for why this got tweaked on Monday when you had a conversation with the attorneys? Right? Because we had a document that went to the attorneys, as I understand it, that all the members of the task force were solidly behind. Right? So what we're looking for here is just to make sure that if any of the task force members have remaining concerns, that those concerns have been lifted up and, as you all have been doing all summer long, discussed at length if necessary to make sure that we get to something everybody can stand behind. Okay? Or if they don't, at least we know. Any questions? So council members, our only vote tonight would be a motion to hold a special meeting to consider moving a new proposal or proposed charter changes forward on Thursday night, August 20th at 6 p.m. to be held in the council chambers.
Updates.
Say it again, Sharon.
We refer to it as charter updates.
Charter updates. Thank you. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And a second. Is there further discussion?
I'm uncertain. Is this on?
It's
Okay,
on. You just have to get close.
I'm uncertain if I'll be able to attend that evening due to work conflicts, so I will see if I can clear that up, but I just wanted to.
Okay.
I will also be remote.
You'll be remote, but you can be there. And Sharon, you'll be remote?
Hopefully. I don't have Starlink, so,
All right.
for traveling, so I sometimes have to, yeah, we won't have a.
Well, if John and I are present, I will need to know, actually, beforehand, because you're right, it makes no sense for us to meet if we don't have a quorum. So knowing whether or not you can make it, Andrew, you're thinking you can.
I'll just be traveling back from Burlington, so I'll stop with their service.
Where you've got service, so you can be there. So honestly, we've got quorum if John and Andrew and I are all present. And we certainly wouldn't, you know.
I'll try to be present virtually.
Right, and I can have some conversation with Carter. I mean, you know, the council clearly has had a lot of investment in moving this process forward. I am not worried that we have a divided council and that if we only have 3 of us to make that final decision, we have a problem. Okay? So we will, it sounds like with Andrew and John and I present, we will have a quorum, and it would be great if we could have the other 2 of you as well. Okay, so I have a motion and a second, and I have some disclaimers about the challenges. Any other comments? Any other community comments? Hearing none, all those in favor please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, item number 8 on our agenda. I don't think we had a sign-out sheet tonight, but is there anyone who feels the need to speak to something we have not already spoken to this evening?
I have one online that can I go ahead
Sure,
and read?
go ahead.
Thank you. This is from Teresa Gerard online. She said, "I'm Teresa Gerard, a Newport resident. It is very exciting to hear about the opportunities for Newport City. I want to make everyone aware that there is a public meeting on Friday, August 21st at 5 p.m. at the Gateway Center to discuss a draft air quality permit for the air emissions at the landfill in Coventry. The State Agency of Natural Resources, Department of Environmental Conservation is conducting the meeting. Please come out and hear how we can protect the air quality for Newport from toxic air emissions." End quote.
Thank you, Carter. Can you just say the date, the time and date?
Yes, they moved it. Adam came after me. They changed it. But it is publicly on VPR if you just search PFAS testing air quality public hearing. There's a really nice article about it with the same information. So verified August 21st at 5 p.m. I believe that's a Friday. Yeah. So nice Friday evening, hang out here, same time, same place. But yeah, public hearing.
What time, Trevor?
5 p.m.
Okay, thank you. Are there other comments? Public comment section. Travis?
Question.
Travis Haynes, resident of Newport. I heard from another Newport resident that the conduct issues that have been happening at the waterfront here, that since the removal of the benches, those have shifted into a nearby neighborhood. So they haven't gone away, and it's just relocated in a way that into an area that isn't as visible. And I just wondered if I didn't see Travis still here.
He's not here with us tonight.
So I just wondered if there was any update on efforts in curtailing that, because with it being less visible, I don't want it to impact other residents and then it go for naught. That's it.
I had a conversation too. The chief and I spoke about this. In fact, this morning, we did talk about how the benches were removed and the issues just kind of shifted down the road a little bit. The chief knows about it and he is taking steps to correct it, but it's similar issues like you had before when they were up here. So, we know about it and we're working on it. It's an unsatisfying answer, but it's what I have right now.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Valerie Dillon. I'm a Newport resident. Carter, did Teresa say that maybe you want to explain what the air quality permit is about?
I can share what I know about from the top of my head. That was the extent of Teresa's comment.
Okay. I've been part of the group that's been reviewing that. Over at the Coventry landfill, there's a SAF process that's helping to pull out a lot of the forever chemicals and putting them together, and it's a contained unit. And what they want to do is now allow emissions from that unit, and without any kind of controls or monitoring. That's what that's about.
Right, from what I recall, their current use is it's contained, it's circular, but now they're wanting to open it up and have an exhaust. And the concern is really going airborne.
We don't have any mechanism to actually measure what's coming out of it. The system, so it's a closed system right now. It's designed as a closed system. The whole thing was really supposed to be a train of series of systems, but it's helping, but to allow the emissions, there's no control, there's no monitoring, and it's out.
And air quality permits, you just get them once in the state of Vermont, and then.
So bottom line, actually, Valerie, we're gonna move on.
The bottom line is there's no regulations, and that's why they're having.
No, the bottom line for tonight is that y'all have been invited to a public meeting Friday the 21st, 5 p.m. here in this location. Okay, that's what we can say tonight.
Right.
Any other comments? All right, hearing none. Moving on to item number 9, new business. Carter?
None.
Andrew?
None.
John? None. Sharon? Jim? Joe? Okay, and I'll just do a blanket. Anybody have old business you want to put on the table?
No.
All right, and I don't have anything either. So we have set the next meeting of council. We voted on that, right?
Yep.
Yes, so we don't need to do that. And I would accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries with huge gratitude to the charter team that has been working all summer long.
I know.